Whoops. I tell him.
And welcome back to the Forever Broken podcast, where we're going to answer big questions. Big questions such as who sucks more, a vacuum or me? And who, secondly, will be the big group today? And I might go ahead and guess Gabe. He is incredible at this. So that's just my guess. That being said, welcome back. I am Derek Thompson. With me, as always, is Gabriel Brew and TJ Davidson, and they will go ahead and introduce themselves now.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm TJ.
Big introductions from the guys, as always. They're just killing it out here tonight. And we're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to everyone's heart tonight, communication. And that's a big topic. You know, just when you look at the big scheme of things, it can go a lot of different ways. And we just kind of have to work on it in all aspects of life. But that being said, this whole thing became a topic because we were talking to TJ about his life and what's going on in his life right now. And he's actually going through a sergeant's course. And he was talking about how important communication is. And part of that uh, just came down to a lot of things. And I'll let him actually go ahead and introduce it just because he has 5 specific topics, or I guess not topics, but um, 5 communication styles, and he can at least tell us what those are and give us kind of the sum up, and then we will start kind of diving into it from there. So, TJ, go ahead.
Hey, yeah, so the first style of communication that I was going to talk about is passive communication. And that's where, if that's the style that this particular person uses, they typically are associated with people that agree to whatever the others are saying or whatever that they want, just trying to avoid conflict and just being passive. I mean, I feel like that's pretty self explanatory. And then the next style would be aggressive communication. And that's typically somebody who always wants to be right or always tries to one up the other person that they're talking to. They try to dominate the conversation and just don't really let the person they're communicating with really even get their point across. Then you have submissive communication, where submissive communicators are people that avoid conflict at all costs. This type of communicator tends to believe that other people's needs are more important than their own, and they feel as if other people's opinions are more intelligent or more valid than theirs. Then you have a manipulative communicator, and they're skilled at doing whatever it takes to gain a personal advantage in any given situation. There's usually an underlying motive when they're speaking, and they try to influence others to their own advantage. And the last one is assertive communication, which psychiatrists and other doctors and smart peoples believe that it's the most effective type of communication because assertive communicators are able to express their honest thoughts in a polite and respectful way that considers other people's opinions and feelings. They're more of a direct approach. They don't try to bullshit, kind of get straight to the point.
Right. So that makes sense. When it comes down to it, for me, I think with the military, which is what we're going to be diving into, military communication, I would pick probably either assertive or aggressive for just kind of like the most common trends of communication that we used. And I say that because I mean when we look at it like hindsight, or at least for me, like I would have viewed myself as assertive, but what I meant by assertive and what I meant by aggressive are two different things compared to what the experts are saying. So when I said assertive, it was like when I said something, I was saying it directly. I didn't give you bullshit. It was just exactly what I thought needed to be said at that time. And I was doing that to remove all other expectations. Like, if I was telling you something, that's what I needed done. I didn't need any bullshit. I didn't need any other input. I just need you to do what I said. So, but the way that you kind of said that was that they did it when you're assertive, you're doing it in a kind and meaningful way. And I would not put myself there.
Right.
And I think that kind of gap, like, or, trended amongst the military. I think we were assertive to the point of aggression where it was like, I'm telling you what I need to be done, and I don't need your fucking input. Just shut up, do what you're told, and we'll be good. And I think your levels of communication change depending on what you're doing. Like I think assertive in the civilian world and assertive in the military world are two different things. Because
Yeah.
I could have somebody be very blunt and to the point with me in the military and not be nice about it, and I was like, perfect, like that's good, that's what I needed,
Yep.
you know,
Roger that.
as a point or as opposed to them being a quote unquote aggressive, which is what they were. They were aggressive about being assertive. Where I never looked at it as they were aggressive. I just thought, yeah, they're just telling me what needs to be done. They don't want any bullshit. They just need like they know what they need. So, and then you go into the civilian sector, and it's like, well, you can't just throw things out there like that. That doesn't make any sense. Like you're just being an ass.
Yep. Yeah, you'll
But
have that.
that's kind of what I took, or that's kind of my approach on it. I don't know what your guys' take on it is. So you guys fill me in like on how you guys feel like those roles played into things.
I think for me, I can agree with you, Derek. Obviously, because we went through all this together. I prefer more of somebody who is assertive about their assertiveness. So they take the best qualities of those two traits and they're aggressive in what they want, but they also don't beat around the bush and they don't leave anything to question. They tell you what they want, they tell you directly what they want, and then they leave it up to you how to get it done, and then they come find you later whether you did it proper or not. Where things get muddled for me is the same as it has for you is like amongst civilian jobs or the civilian population. Like I said, we're all used to walking up to somebody and being like, "Hey, I need you to do this shit, and I need you to do it right fucking now." And then people are like, "Whoa, you're not my boss, and you can't talk to me that way." You know what I mean? And so like you get into you get into these situations where people are hurt feelings or too soft, too solid, too soft or too anything to kind of be aggressive and assertive with them, even though those are the two types of communication it takes for like rapid response.
Right.
And so like when it breaks down to it, um, I guess what I'm saying is probably because it's a personal thing for me right now. This passive, submissive, manipulative bullshit is annoying. It causes rift and it causes problems. And just because there's somebody there that will stand there and tell you to your face what the fuck it is and what the fuck it isn't, doesn't mean that you get to play the victim game and go tattletelling to bullshit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I think it's harder to get shit done when people are use that style of communication also. That's why being aggressive or the assertive style tends to produce more results, in my opinion. But
Well, I think
all,
you can. I think you can figure out somebody's personality with how they communicate too. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely.
Like somebody who is very passive, submissive, or manipulative. Those are the type of people that will tell one group of people something, but then tell the different group of people an entirely different thing that didn't. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
Right.
they're not they're not true to what they've told somebody. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah, because they're just trying to play what they think needs to be said. They're trying to avoid the conflict, and that's something for me personally that like I'm with you, man. I it drives me up the wall when people say shit just to like please you. I don't like people pleasers. I think it's bullshit. I'd rather somebody tell me I'm a cunt to my face than to be like, I like you. You're a good person. If you don't think that, don't say it. Just be upfront with me. Be truthful, and that's something like you said. You can pick up on somebody's personality off how they communicate, and that's where I was trying to get to, and I kind of just left it up to interpretation, and then you brought up. We'll dive into it now, but it's like we're alpha personalities. You know, that's how we function. So when we have somebody that's whatever a Bravo Charlie personality, somebody that is just it doesn't make them less. It's just they don't work the way we do. We're used to being upfront. We're kind of, I guess, more historically. We're the guys that are still like, you play the game, and if you're not good at it, you get dead. You know, it's survival of the fittest. That's what we know, as
I think
opposed to other people who, with the world we live in now, being a victim, it pays off. It pays dividends.
right.
We
Well,
don't play that.
I think a big part of like where we're coming from too, dude, is like we don't sugarcoat anything. Like if I mean I think the way that the three of us communicate, we communicate um, with intent and with purpose. Like for example, just so it's easier to explain, like if you were to ask me to describe your shirt, I'm gonna say it's a black shirt, says Hillary for Prison 2016 on it, and a rendition of the American flag.
Right.
That's clear, concise, and to the point, right?
Yep.
Whereas somebody who has a different communication trait is going to be like, well, it's a darker shirt. I'm not going to name any names, but it portrays somebody's name, and I'm not going to get political, and then it has propaganda on it because there's a flag, and then
Wee, wee,
it
wee,
has
wee.
somebody's projected opinions because their feelings got hurt on it, and so it has a mean hurt comment on it. You know what I mean? Like, quit being a bitch. Just say what the fucking shirt says. We don't care if you agree with it or disagree with it. It is a fact that the shirt fucking says what it says.
Yeah,
So
it's just
get past your bullshit. Quit trying to be passive with it, and move the fuck down the line to probably assertive and just say what the fuck it is. It's
yeah,
a
we're
black
clear and
t-shirt.
concise,
But that's
and
what I'm saying.
that's exactly it.
But I think that's the part that is hard for people that have that and that are used to that. That's the hard part of communication for them. Like if I'm sitting on the couch and somebody's sitting there with me and they're like, "Oh, it's kind of warm in here." Like that to me is an opinionated statement, and I can look at you and be like, "Oh, I'm comfortable," or I can look at you and be like, "Yeah, it's a little warm," or I can look at you and be like, "Well, take the sweater off because you're fucking wearing 19 layers of clothes. So take something off."
Well, I can tell you right now, it is 65 degrees in my house, and if that's too fucking hot for you, fix it
No,
your fucking self.
but what I'm saying is like that's not a form of communication. That is you putting out to the universe an opinion that you have about the current temperature. And so later on in the evening, when you say it again, and I get pissed at you and I say, well, then fucking do something about it. Go outside, take your jacket off, do whatever you have to do to make yourself comfortable. But I don't want to hear about the fucking temperature in here again at
But
all.
that's what we used to do in the military. That's what I'm
But
getting
that's
at.
what I'm saying, dude. Like don't give me fucking clues. Like I'm gonna give an example. I'm not gonna say where it came from, but it's an example. When somebody looks at you and be like, "Oh, here's dinner, and by the way, there's only one fork, so if you want to eat, you're gonna have to do some dishes." You know what I mean? Like, we're not giving out names, but this is a conversation.
Oh
You know
shit.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, I
there's
know exactly what you're saying, and that's what I'm getting at. Is we're trying to we'll focus on the military side of this. I'm trying to just stay somewhat on topic before we get into the family shit. You know, we were clear and concise. That's what was expected of us because you don't have time for bullshit games in the military. You know, if you're gonna go ahead and be put in a situation where it's life or death, you don't have time to sit there and be like, I really don't like getting shot at. Okay, bitch.
hmm
So fucking go somewhere else, you know?
Like
Like,
college, you pussy.
yeah, like, okay. Well, yeah, cool. Like, that's not the situation we're in. We're in a situation where you
you're
just
gonna
need to
get
shut the
shot
fuck
at.
up, do your goddamn job. If you don't fucking like it, I really don't give a shit if you like it or not. Do it.
Well, that's the
Because,
thing, and I think that's part of the. I think that's part of the part that is frustrating for not just military, but anybody that has an assertive or an aggressive communication style. Like, we are clear and concise. I ask you a question, I want an answer. I
yeah,
don't
we
want
don't like games.
I don't want to fucking solve a riddle to a question that I asked you. Like, I'm asking the fucking questions. Don't hit me with a riddle and make me solve what your fucking answer is, because I'm not going to. I'm gonna look at you and be like, cool, like,
Yeah, we're
fuck
Batman.
off. I'm
Like,
not doing it. I
we're
am
Batman
not
and
fucking
everyone
doing
else
it.
is the Riddler. Riddle me this, Batman, and we're just like, I'm going to kill you. You know, it's like, fucking just shut up. I don't fucking care for your riddle. Give me the goddamn point.
And I mean, like, I don't know, like, you could couple like a couple different styles here, like somebody that is manipulative, but they're also like passive aggressive. So they're like they manipulate you through a aggressive communication style, like somebody that puts a task on you and is like, "Hey, I need you to do this." So you do it your way, and then they're like, "No, no, that's not the way I wanted you to do it. This is how I want you to do it." You know what I mean? Like, then say that up
Right.
front. Don't tell me to do a job and then tell me that I did it wrong, even though like you get the same result whether I do it my way or your way. Don't tell me to do a job and then tell me to change it when I've done it and it wasn't the way that you thought that I was going to do it. If there's stipulations to this job and how you want me to do it, name those up front, because now that I've already done the work, you have two options now, motherfucker. You can accept it for what I've turned in, or you can go do it your fucking self the second time. Those are your options. Have a good day.
Exactly. That's what I've been saying. You know?
Option number three is you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah. And my option, now, TJ gives your input on this whole thing.
I think that, like in the military or, in your job, there's just a lack of communication all the way across the board. It's like whenever there's initial orders passed down to accomplish a specific mission, and then halfway through that mission, they change the way they want things done or the priority of a certain step, and that gets up in the leadership gets that change, but they don't effectively communicate it down to their subordinates. So then it might not get done the way it's supposed to or the way they wanted it to. So then now your subordinates down here are getting fucked up by their leadership for not accomplishing the mission the proper way when really it was leadership who failed.
Right. And I think that's like across the board, dude. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
there's a hard pill to swallow for any person in a leadership position to be like, "Hey, that was my bad. I didn't communicate that."
Right.
Like, it is far easier to be like, "Well, I put it out there and you guys just didn't do it the right way." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's easier to project blame than to take responsibility,
Yeah.
which super sucks, but at the same time, like, this day and age, it's something that is to be expected when it comes to leadership and like the workforce actually having common fucking sense.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I have a lot that I could go into, to be honest, just because of current situations, but legally, I will shut the fuck up about a lot of it.
which is probably the smart thing to do.
For now,
I'm just
anyway.
I'm just saying that there is a lot of communication failure and breakdown when it comes to leadership, and there's a breakdown when it comes to people's communication style, and like I think a lot of it too gets lost in the fact that communication is actually it's a I'm gonna call it a bisexual word because it goes two ways. It goes in order for good communication, you actually have to be able to communicate clearly and put out in a clear and concise way what you're trying to say. But you also need to be able to receive what the other person is saying and understand and
Right.
comprehend what they're trying to put across as well. So the biggest part in communication that people fuck up is if I tell you, hey, nose on the top of your head, but it has to be canted to the left, right? And you're not following exactly what I'm trying to say. So there's nothing wrong with you looking at me and being like, okay, the hat goes on my head and I cant it to the left. If you say cant it, do you mean turn the whole hat to the left or turn it so that the brim is facing a little to the left? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with a follow up question to make sure everything's going on.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
I don't either.
communication going both ways. We could call that consensual communication
Consensual communication, baby.
because it takes both of you. You both gotta, you know, want to communicate
That's
effectively.
Yeah,
consent. That's consensual biocoms right there, baby.
yeah, that's a great point. So you made the point with work in the civilian sector here now. So how do you see the difference being between how things were in the military as to how things are now working? Well, and you're still for the government. I think both of you guys are. But you kind of have like the civilian sector working in your job. How do you guys see the communication difference in those jobs?
It's pretty much for me. It's pretty much the same. Word gets passed to the leadership, and they don't effectively communicate that down to their subordinates and what they actually need done fully. I mean, you might get bits or pieces of it, or say that you work with other shops, right? And that they say that they're ready for you, and then you get over there, and they're like, "Oh, the guys that are working, they're like, hey man, like we still got 2 hours on this job," and then you go back to your shop, and they're like, "Well, what the fuck? I thought you guys were supposed to be over there working." And like, well, I mean, someone fucking told you that, but they were wrong. They lied. Like, so there's a lack of communication.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of, again, like Gabe kind of said, you have to be able to receive and communicate. And there's this odd area there where it's just like you got one person that heard one thing and then he probably wasn't paying attention and then he passes that shit on. Like, I'm sure the guy that told you we're ready got told, hey, we will be ready
Right.
in 2 hours. But we're still working, we're almost there. And then what gets passed on to you, it's the telephone game thing, you know what I mean? Where,
Yeah.
it's just constantly this game of, oh, well, what I heard was this. So we have to, part of communication is being able to listen as well as we are, you know, telling. Like, we can't just sit there and tell people shit and then not listen when they tell us something back.
And being willing to admit when you were wrong is a big one because no one ever wants to be wrong. And I think that causes a lot of issues with communication as well.
So
I
here's
think so
here's
too.
here's my policy. This is my policy, and it's been my policy, and it will continue to be my policy for the rest of my fucking life as it pertains to communicating with people that do not have the same communication style that I have. I will not communicate with you unless it is documented in some way, shape, or form. We will record a conversation. We will take notes. There will be an email sent to a whole bunch of fucking people. There is going to be a paper trail, an audio trail. There will be any type of communication trail across the board so that when this comes up again and you want to say that this and this and this was never brought up, and I can be like, fucking bullshit. Here it is. And
But
then there's no way that people can be like, that's on you. Because it's
but
not on me.
again, that's again for the listeners. It's like that's something personal to you. I mean, communication shouldn't have to be that way, in my opinion. I know what you're talking about just because of other issues in my life, but it shouldn't have to be that way. We shouldn't have to sit there and document everything. Like, you got put in a shitty situation, and now you're in that position where that's where you're at. But I mean, prior to that, I think, it probably wasn't that way. And I
No, it
know it
was.
wasn't that way because but you and me, we used to fucking communicate a lot. And because we had trust and we didn't have to do that. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not saying in the
So,
I'm not saying in the military, and I'm not saying with
no,
like
I
any
know
of
you're not
you.
saying the military. I'm just saying in period in communication, we shouldn't have to document everything that we communicate. That's just, that
Okay,
comes
what I'm
from
saying,
shitty communication from one person.
what I'm saying is if there's a situation where I can understand that me and you have the same communication style. If I need you to do something, I'm gonna ask you to do it. And if you cannot do it, you're gonna write back and be like, can't do it. We're gonna have to figure something out.
Right,
That
for sure.
that is clear, concise communication. But when I'm communicating with somebody else and I'm like, hey, I need this, 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 and this done, and they're like, hey, did you hear so and so's wife had a baby? And then they start talking about all this other bullshit that I don't give a fuck about to try and sidetrack me. Like, ain't happening. So we don't have conversations just by mouth. Like, if we have a conversation and I'm writing shit down, it's because I don't that I can communicate with, and you're not gonna try and stab something in my back when I turn around.
Yeah, that makes
Or
more sense.
like, and the thing is, like, this is the great life, and you received the same advice from Gunnery Sergeant Litton, and he said, "Hey boys, if we were all standing in the shower together, and I walked up behind you and I took my pecker and started rubbing it in your butt cheeks, and I leaned forward and whispered in your ear and said, I ain't gonna fuck you. Are you gonna continue to shower and not worry about me behind you rubbing my dick in your butt cheeks? Or are you gonna peek over your shoulder and make sure I don't stick it in a little?" And at the same time, we both went, I'm gonna probably look behind me and make sure you don't stick it in a little. And he goes, perfect. That's how this works. You need to fucking be checking up on shit. You need to fucking do some follow through. You need to protect yourself, even though other people say that they have your best interest in mind because they don't.
Yeah, no, I just meant in general, like, general communication. Like, we can't document everything. So when it comes to important conversations, it's like, yeah, we absolutely want a trail. You know,
You want to
like,
bet? You want to bet?
I will bet, and this
Do
is
you know how
why
many?
I
Do you know
will
how many?
bet.
Do you know how many people have called me to like pertaining to my situation? You know how many people have called me to want to talk over the phone?
Probably a lot of people. I call you all the time. Are you writing my notes on me?
No, I'm saying pertaining my
That's
situation
what
with
I'm
what's going
fucking
on.
saying. That's
But
not, no, this is, no, you shut the fuck up for a minute.
no, you shut the
This
fuck
is
up
what,
for a
no, you
minute
shut the fuck up. This is what I'm
because
getting at.
no, what
We
you're
have a
getting at.
relationship. We don't have to write everything down because we have a good relationship.
But I just
That's what
got
I'm
done
getting at.
saying that. That's why I just got done saying that.
I
But what
know
I'm
that's what I'm
saying
getting
is
at. And that's what I just said. But you were like, "You want to bet?" And I was like, "Yes, I
but
do," because we
because I
don't
just
have
got
to
done
fucking write everything down.
because we just moved past the fact that I just got done saying me and you have an established relationship, so I don't have to fucking
No,
try
I
shit
know
with
that.
you.
And that's what I was saying though.
But when it comes to people that don't share the same type of fucking communication style, like I
That's what I was
promise you,
saying.
they're going to communicate with you, and then as soon as it goes awry, it's your fault and not their fault. And
But that's what I was saying.
unless you have proof, like nobody's gonna believe either one of you, and it's gonna be like, well, it's fucked up, and now there's nothing can be done.
But that's
But
what I
if
was
I can,
saying is that because
but if I
you
can
and me have an
produce
established relationship, we don't have to do that.
right, because if anything got fucked up, we just look at each other and be like, well, we fucked that up, and then 9 times out of 10,
Yeah.
each of us will take blame for our own part in it and be like, well, let's move on and figure it out.
Yeah. So that was my point is just that, it's not necessarily that we have to write everything down. It's just that we have to have a form of communication. We have to have a line of respect for each other. in order to not have to do that.
But we
That's
have
what I
that.
was getting at. Like
But
I
we
was
have
just
that.
saying, yeah, that's what I was saying though. That like I was just getting at the fact that like we don't have to do that with every person. We just have to do that with people that we can't, we don't have a relationship with or a trust with. That's all I was getting at. It's just so, because the way you were saying it was just like initially fucking write everything down. I was just like, well, we don't fucking, hey, you and me have a pretty good relationship. I don't think we have to fucking write
I'm not
everything
saying
down.
I don't write stuff down because I'm keeping tabs of what you've said to like throw you under the bus. I write stuff down because I legitimately have a fucking memory as long as my wiener, and that's not very long. So I
Yeah,
write
me
stuff
too.
down to remember it. Now, going back to what you just said, like there's an established trust and there's an established relationship. Like I will tell you right now, in the area that I'm at and the place that I work at and the people that I work with, I trust maybe two of them.
Which is pretty normal, I think, actually.
Anybody else that wants to talk to me, they can talk
Like,
and talk and talk. I will not open my mouth, and then if it gets to a certain point, I'll be like, "Hey, put that all in an email and send it to me."
yeah, like I don't think I trust anybody that I work with yet. So no, I totally get what you're saying. You know, like yeah, my point was just that like it's like you have to have that relationship built up in order to communicate, and that goes with relationships as well. You know,
I mean,
like
but at this point, they could try and build the relationship up, but it's never going to be there. I'd rather take a soldering iron to my fucking eardrum than trust any of them.
yeah, if you're not going to prove that you can be trusted, I'm right there with you, dude. Like I've got a lot of shit going on in my life, and like I'll get a phone call. I don't even fucking answer because I'm like, you know what? If you have something to say to me, you're going to need to text it to me so I have a written record of what you said.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. There's been a lot of times where they've tried to call me and I'm like, "Hey, text me," or "Hey, send an email." The text and the email never fucking
Yeah,
come.
especially those fucking cocksuckers at the fucking IRS. Fucking those guys.
They just never email me and they never fucking text me when I talk to them.
They don't call me or text me. I just if they're the one like they're the one group of if somebody was gonna fucking call me and be like, "Hey, listen here, we need to talk to you," I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, okay, listen here, fucker."
So is Gunny letting fucking
You're
both of you in the shower, or just one of you at a time?
no, he
One at
was
a
pretty.
time.
Yeah, I
It
was
was
gonna say
one
he's
at a
pretty much
time,
one at
but
a
he
time.
had the capability to hit us both at the same time.
Yeah, so that guy, I miss him, by the way. So I'm not just talking shit about him, but that motherfucker, he he caught me turning his Longhorn's license plate upside down one
Ooh.
time.
Oh God.
So I spent a week mowing the grass with fucking scissors.
When he caught you, did he yell across the lot, "Hey, motherfucker"?
No, he ran up and kicked me,
Oh,
like
even better.
because I was squatted down with a screwdriver on the front of his fucking truck.
Was it at his big black Ford, his power?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
he
got
ran up and
fucked up.
he ran up and just fucking. This is Sparta me across the fucking parking lot. I rolled like a goddamn Ninja Turtle.
That's
But
fantastic.
yeah, and then he told me the only way I could go to Chow is if I could figure out how to make my office chair that was sitting outside that was fucking broke get to the Chow hall, and the only thing I could use was a leaf blower.
That's fantastic.
So I got caught rowing like I'm in a fucking rowboat with this leaf blower, and the MPs were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "Hey man, like this is the only way I can go get food."
Oh God, why didn't you turn it on?
I tried that and I just spun around in circles real quick and got fucking dizzy.
Well, maybe you should not suck at using a leaf blower.
All right, I want you to film yourself in an office chair with a leaf blower and see if you can fucking leaf blow yourself down the goddamn
Yeah,
street.
well, joke's on you. I don't have a fucking office chair.
Well, how
Yeah.
about
I've got two kids rockers because I'm a dad.
why didn't you get like something that was like parachute style material, tie it to the base, and then blow the leaf blower into it to project you forward?
Listen, all I had was a fucking office rolly chair and a leaf blower. And he wanted me to use a leaf blower, I guess like a goddamn jetpack,
Yeah, that's what
push
you
this
should
chair
have
down
done.
the road. And that was the first thing I tried because it made sense at first, it did not fucking work. So I started just rowing.
Well, I'm gonna have
And
to
that
get an
worked.
office chair eventually and prove you wrong.
I'd like to see it.
Send me
I will spend 46 fucking months trying to prove this right.
Time starts now.
Yes.
I 100% was convinced that you were going to say 46 million and then you decided that the money was a factor and you were like, let's take this from money to
All right.
time.
I have $46 and I have a leaf blower, but I need to get gas.
So here's the
So
thing.
I have $0.
We're
Here's the
taking
thing.
donations for gas and office
No,
chairs.
here's the
Yeah,
thing.
we're
Here's the thing.
we're gonna take fucking donations for gas money so Derek can try to fucking prove that
I'm
you
going
can
to
use it.
shut everybody's fucking microphone off. What we're
I'm gonna
doing
shut your
is
microphone off.
TJ's going to send this text so we remember it. And the next time we're all together, we're going to get a fucking leaf blower, a tarp, and an office chair, and that fucker's going forward.
Listen, I didn't have a
Look,
tarp.
all
All
I'm
I had
saying,
was the office chair and a leaf blower. You know, I had to
I don't
make it
care
work
what
with
you
those
had.
two
I'm going to
things.
make it go.
yeah, we don't get a tarp. We just get a leaf blower and an office chair, and I only have $46, and I need Patreon money or donations to pay for gasoline to fill my leaf blower.
Do you need the oil to mix it with too?
Ye- Yeah, actually, I do. I
Yeah, so
fucking threw away my oil
we're gonna need a little bit more
when I
money then.
moved. I didn't even throw it away. I gave it away. I had like 6 things of it. And so we're gonna need like $100 worth of donations for the gas and oil, and then I need another $100 for a chair.
No takers.
Office
Anyway.
All
chairs are
right.
expensive, bro.
Anyway, moving on. Uh,
Yeah. So what we were gonna go into next was family communications, and you know how. Let's dive into this deeper. How our personal communication styles affect our families. And I say that because we just came off the Katie and the my wife episode, and I think it would be good for us to talk about how our communication styles kind of attribute to the problems we have in our lives. So if you guys haven't listened to those yet, go back, listen to the Katie episode, listen to the my wife episode, Sydney, and we will hopefully at least give you guys some direction there. But I think they pointed out a lot of things that, communication could have solved and can solve. So, how do our communication styles affect that? And let's go with Gabe first because your ex wife was just on, and you have the most recent kind of storyline here, and she gave us a lot of good info. So, what did you take away from it? Like, how could you communicate better to make things work?
I think for me, I could have been more open with what I was dealing with instead of bottling everything up. Um, I could have maybe figured out a better way to communicate for myself instead of being like aggressive and assertive in the way I was talking or the way that I was communicating. Um, maybe passive assertive, not so like this is how it is, but more like, hey, what do you think about this? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
um, and then kind of like what she was talking about as well. Her inability to kind of accept what I was talking about or the things that I was bringing up, or her to want to talk about it or go through it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hear what you're
So,
saying.
so I think there's between my unwillingness to communicate or my unwillingness to change my communication style, her unwillingness to want to hear it or be involved with the bad part of it. I think it led to a lot of animosity towards each other to where like the communication went from trying to communicate but like not really ever getting there to kind of just communicating out of necessity to be like, hey, this is where I'm at. Hey, this is what's going on. Hey, I'm going here. Or hey, can you do this for the kids? Or hey, can this be done? Or hey, whatever. And then it kind of turns into like one of those petty battles where it's like once the traditional like day to day what has to be communicated is out of the way, like now it's time to get to the petty shit that you want to be like that's what you want to communicate about, you know what I mean?
Right.
What's
And
up,
then
Doug?
we'll hop over to TJ, who's got his dog in his lap. And I love that we have a poochers on board.
All right.
What's your dog? What's your puppin's name?
Goose.
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 You got some helicopters flying over, bud?
Yeah. Where's a police
Rush.
cocksucker?
Yeah. Oh God,
Yeah,
yeah. That's a military sucker right there.
Anyway, yeah, so fucking communication in relationships and your family in general. You know, a lot of times I have to be careful of how I talk to my children, even because people think that I'm being mean to them or whatever, just because I'm more just direct all the time. You know what I mean? And like,
Right.
not that my kids care, because there's like whatever fucker, but you know, people on the outside are like, damn, that guy's fucking mean as shit.
You can't talk to your kids that way.
But then also like with your spouse or significant other, whatever you want to call them, people, I think a lot of people have issues with listening and actually paying attention to what's being said to them. You know, they want to just get their part out and then don't give a shit what the other person has to say, which is something that I think a lot of people could work on.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that I don't know. I suck at listening. And it's not because I don't want to. It's just because I am ADD, OCD. I suck at paying attention because I get distracted by things that I feel like are more important. Where I'm like, okay, yeah, you're telling me how your day was, but at the current moment, I'm staring at the pile of shit on the floor. Maybe we should pick that up. And I don't communicate that well. So one of my biggest problems is that I suck at communicating things. And when I do communicate things, like we had talked about with the military, I'm super aggressive about it. I'm assertive about it. It's just like, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm thinking. And I don't really pay much attention to the fact that maybe I'm saying that a little bit too mean. Like,
Right.
yeah, I'm probably a dick. But to me, I'm not, because I'm just like, hey, you wanted to know what's on my mind. Well, the fucking house is a disaster. So let's clean the fuck up. Doesn't have to just be me. You know? Like, I'm just super upfront about things. And that comes back to our military and how we deal with things being assertive and aggressively. Like, I just stink at doing anything, like, politely, I guess. And I don't know where that comes from. Like, it's just like, to me it makes sense. But now, where everything's changed so much, I'm like, am I a dick? Yes.
It's not so much us being assholes. We just don't tiptoe around other people's fucking feelings.
Yeah, and that's weird for me, man. Like, I just, like, the only
Feelings
way I
or
know how to deal with
tiptoeing?
things is just say it.
Your feelings are your fucking problem, not mine.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the
that's how
thing.
I am.
But that's the thing. Like communication shouldn't be compromised because you're trying to be um, conscious of somebody else's the way it's going to make them feel. Like, if we're going to communicate, like, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be upfront, and I'm going to fucking get to the point. Like, we're not going to have a 48 fucking minute conversation for me to ask you if you can do something or if we can accomplish something, or you know what I mean? Like, if I want if I want to talk to somebody and be like, hey, um, what do you think about going out and grabbing some lunch and then going for a hike? Like, I'm not going to start a pointless 45-minute conversation to ask to have fucking some chicken wings and go on a hike later. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna be like, hey, how do you feel about chicken wings and hiking? You wanna hit that up? Like, that's what
Yeah,
I'm gonna
dude.
say. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, and then I don't want you to be like, well, I'd be like, it wasn't a fucking a novel for a novel. It was a question for yes or a no. That's all I need. I don't
Hey,
want
while
your
you're at the store,
explanation.
why don't you get me some pepperoni and some chicken titties?
No.
No, I struggle because it goes both ways, and like I know I'm very blunt about how I say things, but I also have to sit there and like I lose my credibility for listening, and this is why I lose it is because when my wife says shit like "there's only one fork," I know she means the dishes need done. But to me, I'm like, why don't you just fucking say the dishes need done? But at the same time, I'm like, it's just fucking how she communicates. I need to sit there, take a step back, and listen. But I shouldn't have to fucking read your goddamn mind, in my opinion. And that's just my opinion. That that's where I'm saying like we don't have to tiptoe around people's feelings, but we do have to tiptoe around their communication styles because if we've been around them long enough, and this is where that whole we have an established relationship, we have an established, history now. By now, I should have an understanding of how you work, just like they should have an understanding of how I work. So when I'm an asshole, quote unquote, because I'm just blunt and to the point, it should be no different for me to be blunt as it is for them to be very vague. And that's where I struggle is just like I'm very much like just tell me what you mean.
Yeah, don't tell
But
me
it shouldn't
hints.
have to be that way. I think that's where communication sucks.
I don't need hints. I need to know what the fuck you want.
Yeah, and they are the exact opposite. And they're like, just give me a hint. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm hinting that maybe the fucking house needs cleaned. That too, TJ, that too. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I shouldn't have a fucking hint, but that's how you fucking communicate. If you communicate through hints, now I've got to learn how to fucking be not, like, I have to learn to be subtle and not blunt. And you have to learn to be blunt and not subtle. So it's just constantly, how do you make communication styles correlate to each other? How do we learn to, and that all starts by just understanding the other person's communication style, with a relationship. And
Well,
I'm not saying I'm an expert at it. I'm just saying I understand I need to learn their communication style. I just suck at doing it.
well, that's the thing too, dude. Because that goes back to what TJ is saying. Is like nobody wants to admit that they're wrong, which having to adjust your communication style or giving or receiving making it seem that you were wrong in the way that you chose to communicate with somebody.
Yeah, receiving would be nice every now and then.
Well, but moving on behind all of you guys' fucking sexual innuendos about getting blowies and towies, bro. Like,
What's a toey?
Yeah, now I'm
if
interested.
you have to ask, you can't afford it. So
I
I thought
can't.
that was a ZJ. Let's go back to the Toei. Don't change the subject.
Well, yeah.
so that goes into the whole like admitting being wrong, and nobody wants to do that, right?
No,
Because
Yeah.
what did you
they
just
don't want to.
what did you just say? What did you just say to me, Derek? And I know that I'm not gonna do that. You
Yeah, what I
literally
think I
just
just.
fucking said
Yeah,
it.
but I think what my last thought was, what the fuck is a Toei?
I
Is
don't
that like
care
an
what your
FJ?
last thought was.
I'm
No,
focused on that now.
I don't care. We're
Don't tell me it's a
not
fucking
going there.
TJ.
It's not a TJ.
All right, continue your thought.
It's literally called a Toei.
I'm past that now.
Good, because we're not getting into it.
I know we aren't. That's why I'm past that. Just
And you know what that's called? Two-way communication. We're moving on.
yes.
Examples were
Er,
given. Now, so it just like that's part of the thing, and I think a lot of it comes down to like, at what point does one person in the or more than one person in that communication decide that this isn't worth it, and they just completely shut down and remove themselves completely, like. And I think that's what I'm getting at when I talk about it, like how it got with me and Katie, where it was like neither one of us thought it was worth it to even communicate anymore because it went nowhere except for a fight, until one of us just wanted to fight, and then fight.
right.
Like there's a certain point where that communication becomes too much work for one person over the other person, and they just shut it down. Like there's no way to fucking, I can't talk to this person, and people say it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. So I don't know. Let's start, wrapping this thing up and kind of hit home some big points for the whole conversation. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that you have to listen and you have to be able to communicate in your partner's style. And in the military, we didn't have to worry about that stuff because we were all expected to have the same communication style. And if you didn't meet that, you were just told, shut up, which made sense. Still makes sense to me this day. It's like, shut the fuck up. I don't need your opinion. Just listen to what I'm telling you and let's move on. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just trying to let you know this is what needs to be done. I don't care how you do it. Just get it the fuck done. And that's how we worked. But once we get out of the military sector and we start moving into civilian life, and we have to correlate into, and it's something that we should have done, and we sucked at doing, in my opinion, with our personal lives. And I think it's what correlates to a lot of the divorce rate is that just that's what we're used to. And then when we go home, we don't know how to do that. So once we get out, we're trying to learn how to do that. But after we get out, we have to learn to listen to our partners, and we have to learn to be not just the giver, but we also have to learn how to receive input. Take your sexual innuendo and you
Fuck
just
you!
shove
You
it right up
started
your
it.
ass. I know
You
I did,
fucking started
but I
it.
didn't know how else to communicate it. I didn't know how else to communicate it in terms that made sense.
You're over there trying to be serious, and you're talking about giggling. Like I giggle a little bit, and I'm the asshole. But when I'm fucking having my serious conversation, and you're fucking giggling, and you want to know about TJs and Z, Toeies and Blowies and Flowies and Chloes,
Yeah, but
I'm the fucking asshole because I'm trying to move on from it.
you brought up BJ's and Toeies.
No, dude, you brought up fucking giving and receiving.
I didn't.
What?
TJ
Play it
did.
back. Play it
Toeies-
back, dude.
I will play it back.
Play it the
Toeies
fuck
and
back.
TJs are
You
different.
just
We
said
established that.
you
TJ
have to
brought
be
it
able to
up.
receive as well as give. And I
TJ
fucking
brought
giggled a little bit.
TJ brought it up. I just went with it, and then you brought up Toeies and Blowies, and I got lost. Which is okay. but no, it's something we suck at doing. Is that we can't like give output and receive an input and be like, yeah, you're good with that. Like we're just like, okay, well, I didn't ask for your input. I just told you what I needed, so shut the fuck up.
Sometimes you got to pull out before it's too late.
Yeah, and I have not done that once yet. So, um, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But
With that being said,
with that being said, TJ, is your wife pregnant?
why do you do
Take
this?
that as a yes. It's always silence.
Why are you the way you are, dude? Fuck.
Oh
TJ.
shit!
I'm gonna be the good guy here because Derek's apparently woke up this morning and shows violence and chaos.
Yeah, that's what I usually do.
TJ, give me a takeaway.
Just pull out in time before it's too late, and be able to give as well as receive when it's coming to communication. You know, just you gonna be all right?
I don't think I am.
Did you look like you're about ready to bawl?
No, just
Oh,
kind of understand the whoever you're talking to, their communication style, so that you can work with that a little bit. You know what I mean? And then if they're the people that try to drop hints, then try to pick up on those hints or be like, "Are you trying to tell me to do this without trying to tell me to do it?" You know what I mean? So you can figure that shit out. Also, be willing to admit whenever you are wrong, because that'll cause a lot of issues. And when it comes to relationships, I don't give a fuck about work or none of that. But
yeah, I
that's
agree.
pretty much.
And
That's pretty much what I got.
then
Cool.
Gabe, yeah, give us your takeaways and send us out for this.
Oh, you're not gonna give a takeaway?
Yeah,
So
you're giving a takeaway.
you're not giving your takeaway?
I already gave my takeaway.
What'd you take away?
I took away that we
Just
have
kidding.
to be
Nobody
able
gives a
to
fuck.
listen and receive.
My takeaway is that it doesn't matter how old you are or how long removed you've been from the military. There are just certain key words that will set Derek off, and we will lose him for hours.
I'm going to slap the piss out of you. Take a drink.
No, we don't drink when you say it. We drink when I say it.
We're going to drink now when I say it too.
Dude, you just make up rules as we go. Like you have
Well,
no.
nobody's given the official fucking rules, Gabe.
Dude, I gave them already. I said if I say I'm gonna slap somebody,
No
it's a
one
drink.
has given the official fucking Facebook goddamn credo to this shit. They haven't made the fucking meme. They haven't gotten the shirt yet. Thus, they haven't gotten the shout out yet. So, until they do that, we have no official rules. I'm just going to keep making them up as I go.
Okay, well, officially, I'm not gonna drink until there's official rules. I'm not playing your game.
Kill. I like it.
And my real takeaway is that communication is a two-way street. You need to be able to
It looks like you were going to suck a dick right there. You were like,
to give as well as receive the information properly so that it's not confused.
oh, shit. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm
Good
done coming
lord.
around here with you guys, dude. You guys are fucking silly.
You mean you want us to be
Innuendo.
bilingual?
Trilingual. But yeah, no. So moving forward, though, I think we've wrapped up the episode. Go ahead, I think next week we're actually going to be talking about the fire service again, and we'll be talking about kind of how testosterone levels actually play a key into the PTSD and depression and anxiety, and we'll get into that more then once we have our next guest on. But that being said, listen to us on anywhere you listen to your podcast. Check us out on the social medias. We are on all of them: Facebook, Instagram, Twitch. We're going live there. We're on live on YouTube. We have our channels. We are on the. Did I say Instagram yet? I didn't say Instagram yet. We're there. We're on everywhere you are. So go ahead, check us out there. Like, subscribe. Please go ahead, leave a 5-star review and a actual review, if you would please, on Apple Podcast. It helps us in how we are projecting into the rankings, and it helps us get out to the people that haven't listened to us yet. So go ahead, do that. You guys to us. I hope we have been a lot of help to you guys. I'll send it back to Gabe real quick for final words, and then I'm going to hit you guys with that sweet, sweet outro music.
Yeah, dude, this is super cool. Pop into your sound.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. I know. Hold on. Before we go back to Gabe,
He doesn't know what you mean. He
You don't
doesn't
know
what you mean.
anything. Look down there and see who you're playing that for, big guy.
oh shit, yeah, I know what you're saying. Now going live with the Gabe.
There you go, big shoots. Hey,
You
just so
listened
you
to
know,
Alright.
Buddy dancing earlier.
just so you know, after you do the outro real quick, we should probably stay on and do an intro real quick so you can buff that motherfucker in the front. Because you fucked that.
I didn't fuck anything. I know what I'm doing.
Or you could just leave it for the live audience, like they got to watch you dancing all alone with your head.
Oh
Your
yeah, that makes
headphones.
sense actually. I'm glad it all makes sense now.
That's why I asked TJ.
Anyways,
I was like, dude, TJ, you gonna tell him or you want me to? And he was like, nope, just let it happen. And you just
yeah,
said
that's
there.
fair. We switched from Bullhorn over to Riverside. I get all fucked up. Hold on. That being said, we are going to wrap this episode up. Thank you guys for listening, and I love you guys. We love you guys. Leave those 5-star reviews, and we will be back next week with the fun tales that we have to spin. We will be talking about Jeff, the talking mongoose, on this week's Drunken Stories. And we will have a great time telling that story. I've been doing nothing but research for that episode. So listen in. It's going to be a good time. That will drop you. And again, thank you, TJ. Thank you, Gabe. We'll be back next week.
We want to thank you, Derek. Have a good one.